Yo, it's a lot going on right now. So they had the second Dodge hearing. They're calling this the world's largest money laundering scheme in history. In the process to uncover the dark truth behind USAID's mission to undermine the U.S. interests. Michael Cloud exposes the House about basically the efforts to root out waste and fraudulent abuse money. Marjorie Taylor Greene exposed preposterous foreign aid spending, and they review some of the proposed reforms that they would like to implement for Trumpito's policy of putting American first. So check it out. They all gave examples, array of examples illustrating how the USAID has been, messing up our money, how they've been spending our money to propagate stuff overseas, weird, crazy stuff. You won't even believe it. Let's get right to the video. My name is Marcus Russell. This is the Marcus Russell Show. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I need 100,000 subscribers. Yo, let's go.
Fraud and abuse is, but also the extent at which D.C. politicians and too many obstinate bureaucrats have coordinated to create what is essentially the largest money laundering scheme in history. They have been using taxpayer dollars to fund unnecessary, egregious, and even evil things here at home and around the world. Thankfully, in Doge, we have a president bringing the leadership needed and a focused effort, along with the talent, technology, tools, and transparency to this waste, fraud, and abuse.
That was Michael Cloud, Dodge member, that's going over the travesty that's going on. He was explaining how they always be using NGAs. I looked up NGAs, like, I don't know, but I assume it means like the blank checks that's written without a specific reason or document. And not only have these bureaucrats like been using all these funds, and they're not even in the positions to do it, to pass out money. um so it's like this there's a lot of fraud been going on with the money and with the weaponizing and supporting radical religious ideologies around the world. Senator John Kennedy gives a detailed explanation of exactly how this money was spent. So let me get right back on that.
Vice President Harris and President Trump ran against each other for the presidency. One of the planks in President Trump's platform was that he was going to review every penny of federal government spending. Why did he say that? Why did he promise to do that? Well, first, there's a moral principle involved. People worked hard for their money, and when they give it to government, they're entitled to expect government to spend it efficiently. Number two, President Trump ran on that plank because of our debt. The federal debt is $36.5 trillion. We throw these numbers around like a trillion, we start to take them for granted. To give you a little perspective, this $36.5 trillion, it grows bigger by the second. It's going to increase. If we just keep doing what we've been doing, it's going to increase $1 trillion every 100 days. If we just keep doing what we've been doing, it's going to increase $10 billion a day. Today, nothing changed. We added $10 billion in debt. That's also $417 million an hour.
That's crazy.
That's $6.9 million a minute. I think I've been talking about a minute. We just added $7 million to our debt. That's why the president wants to get rid of spending porn. The reaction here in Washington, Mr. President, has been breathtaking.
Right.
I understand Washington is not exactly a slice of America. I get that. I understand that Washington is not normal. Normal in Washington, D.C. is a setting on the dryer. So I get all that. We're different in Washington. But the pushback to President Trump's effort through Mr. Musk and his team to reduce spending has just been extraordinary. I mean, people are barking and yelping and shrieking about it.
Facts.
They sound like the game room in a mental hospital.
Get him, Kennedy.
And I get that a lot of people don't like President Trump, and I get that many people don't like Mr. Musk, and I get that Mr. Musk is different. I kind of like that. I mean, I like different. You know, he's the sort of guy that would wear, I don't know, he'd wear Crocs to a wedding. I get that. I find it kind of refreshing. But nobody's ever called him a dummy. And he's found an incredible amount of waste and abuse of taxpayer money, what I call spending porn. I'm not going to repeat everything I repeated or I said the first time we talked about this, but Mr. President, it seems to me to be once again extraordinary that people are mad at President Trump and Mr. Musk for the process they're using, but no, they're not mad about the money being wasted. I mean, Mr. Musk, whether you like him or not, he's found, for example, $7.9 million we spent to teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language. He's found money that was given to an NGO to empower the LGBT community in Armenia. He found $1.5 million that we spent to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem.
What?
$2.1 million to the BBC to strengthen the media ecosystem in Libya. $8.3 million spent for equity and inclusion education in Nepal. Does no one care about?
And then let me explain some of this stuff. For like that the USAID spends their money on overseas. Not only do they participate in you know, people's civil wars that they have going on, or like propagate censorship programs, or you know, against the elections, people that they don't want in office. Um, Weaponizing and using this money to, you know, spread I guess transgender idealism in countries that still don't accept homosexuality. Not only that, but stuff like they spent 70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland, 50,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. They literally spending money like promoting homosexuality in countries where, you know, it's an abomination to God still. The dude Greg Roman, he got up here and at one point he shared a recently uncovered picture of like some USAID officials celebrating with Hamas, and then right after that he said, "This is not a conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen. This is the United States government." So like, what are we doing around the world? You know, causing world wars, getting involved with elections, and it's like spreading homosexuality in the foreign countries. Like, what has the United States been on? Of course, we don't want this money spent like that, and so that's why Trumpito, he said campaigning that he was going to have a America first foreign aid policy. And so all of this stuff that they're doing, all this extra money, is undermines the country, and it undermines us to the point to where we only have a certain amount that we can go into the deficit. And then our money is worthless after that. So at this same route that we're going, like he said, the country will be nothing in 10 years. So I don't understand why all sides aren't playing. Let's get back to it.
How the money was actually abused and wasted? Mr. President, it's not unusual for me to be disappointed for some things I see in Washington. And under the last administration, I have to admit, I was disappointed just about every single day. I'd almost gotten used to it. But last week, and this is what I want to talk about, Mr. President, I read a story. It was a story about the abuse of taxpayer money in the last administration. And it was so nauseating that it triggered my gag reflex. In April of 2024, not that long ago, the EPA under President Biden gave $2 billion in taxpayer money to an organization that had absolutely no experience, that was backed by a very prominent Democratic politician by the name of Ms. Stacey Abrams. Here's what happened.
$2 billion.
In 2022, as you know, Mr. President, President Biden and my Democratic colleagues passed the Inflation Reduction Act. Not a single Republican voted for it, not one, either in the House or the Senate. We knew at the time that spending $1.2 trillion, that's what the Inflation Reduction Act cost, would only make inflation worse, not better.
Facts.
And even President Biden eventually admitted that the Inflation Reduction Act did absolutely nothing to raise prices. Even President Biden, at the end of his term, admitted that. So where did all the Inflation Reduction Act money go? Fair question for taxpayers to ask.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to know what they do with our money. Let me say that again.
You do with the money.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to know what they do with our money. So where did all the Inflation Reduction Act, this $1.2 trillion, go? Well, President Trump and Doge, the group appointed by President Trump, and the EPA under new leadership, under Mr. Lee Zeldin, have begun to follow some of that money. Now, this is where Ms. Stacey Abrams comes in. I think it's fair to say that Ms. Abrams is, I don't know, I would call her controversial.
Okay.
She has the right to believe what she believes. This is America. She has the right to free speech. I'm not criticizing that, even though I disagree with some of what she says. But I think it would be fair to describe her as controversial. She's probably best known for the fact that she ran for governor of Georgia twice, and she lost. In her career, Ms. Abrams has said the following. I don't want to just articulate hyperbole here. I want you to read her words, not mine. On April 20th, 2024, Ms. Abrams appeared on MSNBC with Reverend Al Sharpton, and this is what Ms. Abrams said, quote, "What we know is that the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, is an attack on democracy."
Ain't that it?
On September 20th, 2022, during a panel discussion in Atlanta, Ms. Abrams said this about a baby's heartbeat, a fetal heartbeat, the heartbeat of a baby in a mother's womb. This is what Ms. Abrams said about a fetal heartbeat. She said it is, quote, a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body, end quote.
That's crazy.
Her words, not mine. In May of 2022, during a Georgia gubernatorial debate, she's running for governor of Georgia now. Ms. Abrams called Georgia, quote, the worst state in the country to live in. In October of 2022, during another Georgia gubernatorial debate, Ms. Abrams accused the sheriffs, all of the sheriffs in Georgia who endorsed her opponent, Governor Brian Kemp, of wanting, quote, to be able to take black people off the streets. In October of 2022, Ms. Abrams appeared on MSNBC. She suggested that abortion is a solution to inflation. That's what she said. She said, quote, let's be clear. Having children is why you're worried about your price of gas.
Yeah, let me make a long story short. Stacey Abram basically pocketed that $2 billion. It's a lot of money that's just get thrown around like this. Imagine if Kamala Harris would have won. America would continue to sponsor gay music festivals all over the globe to promote homosexuality. And then they keep on saying that this is for us and or this is that this is against democracy. But what is this democracy that we're protecting? Um, at the same time, I feel like Trumpito is back in office. I honestly thought the dismantling of the government would take possibly like 10 years. But at the pace he's going to have the country cleaned up by the summertime. Moving forward, I can tell that this administration is serious about putting America first as far as foreign policy is concerned. Um, Zelensky, who owe us that $150 billion back, he might not even pay us back. But pressing Zelensky for this money is an example of how we're not paying for people's wars and stopping, you know, efforts that go against American interests. I'm with that. I don't want to keep on paying to spread homosexuality to countries that is not used to that stuff. I don't want to continue to pay to sabotage elections. How do you feel? You know what I'm saying? USAID, the offices, the data that they're asking us to be afraid that they're protecting, that's their data, not ours. Somebody needs to know, like you said, where is this money going? You just sending it to people, you sending it to these NGAs, send it, put it in our pocket. That part. Tell me what you think in the comments. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I need 100,000 subscribers. Till next time. Peace.